Right. So this is a new feature at Meteor News, the idea being to try to keep people who are coming to the Meetup up to date with what's going on in the Meteor world, both globally and also kind of specifically related to London. So the immediate caveat is that since this is the first time, if it's rubbish, it's not my fault. If you do have any suggestions, please feel free to, not while I'm actually talking, but afterwards, please feel free to suggest them.
Unless you're completely incensed with rage, in which case.
Okay, yeah, that's a special case, but try to contain your rage. If you've got something that you think should be in the news next month, the next time we meet, then please also let me know. Although, bear in mind, if you could string that thing out to 5 minutes, it could be a lightning talk. And that will be a recurring theme. So lightning talks, lightning talks, lightning talks. But for the time being, news. So what have we got? Well, first of all, if you wanted to keep up to date with Meteor News without having to come to the Meetup, where should you look? These are the best places. Follow Meteor.js on Twitter, the Meteor.com official blog. This Week in Meteor, which is a really, really good resource that Rishi Guma, I think is the guy's name, from Differential has started putting together. I don't think it's quite weekly, but it's really, really comprehensive. So that's well worth signing up to. Crater is the kind of hacker news for Meteor, and the Meteor forums are really, really active and much nicer than when they were on Google Groups. So those are the places that I would suggest having a look at every day if you want to keep up to speed with Meteor. If you're already following those things, I'm probably not going to tell you anything you don't already know, but you'll just have to bear with me, I'm afraid. So the big news, some of this news is very new, by the way, as well. I know that's the idea of news, but, you know, I had this nice idea that I could kind of write it over the weekend and that it would be done, but then things kept happening. So that, again, is why there's typos, potentially. So Meteor, we're now at version 1.05. Excuse me. The big release really was 1.04. The releases, 3 releases since then have been relatively minor, but 1.04 had all sorts of interesting new things in it, some of which I'll summarise. The biggest one is probably that Meteor now ships with Mongo 2.6. So what that means is if you create an app and then run it locally, the Mongo database that's running is version 2.6. The Mongo server that's running is 2.6. Previously it was 2.4. I won't go into the differences because I'm not a Mongo expert. Apparently it should also work with 3.0, but that's not like the official release yet because they want more like broader community support. MDG want broader community support for Mongo 3.0 before that becomes like the de facto Meteor version. Obviously you can attach Meteor to whatever you want, but the fact it now ships with 2.6, which certainly has some performance benefits at the very least, is great news. And there are also new ways to access the raw database and raw collections from within Meteor 2. So you have a little bit more power, a lot more power there. Lots of Blaze enhancements. If you are not aware, Blaze is Meteor's rendering engine, and the salient points here are we now have template level subscriptions. One of the best things about Meteor is live data. That's the thing everybody gets really excited about. The fact if you have lots of connected clients and one of them makes a change to the database, provided that change is not rejected, then all the other connected clients will see that database, that change propagate to their client very quickly indeed, without any further coding. However, with great power comes great responsibility, and it's very, very easy, as anybody who's tried to build a kind of production Meteor app will know, to really overdo it on the live data and kind of kill your server, have huge latency on your clients. You have to be very careful about what you're subscribing to and what you're publishing. Template level subscriptions gives you could kind of already do this sort of thing, but it's like an inbuilt way to obtain a huge degree of granularity over your pub sub by making sure that essentially as soon as your user stops viewing data, they stop subscribing to that data as well. So you're not leaving subscriptions open, which are which are kind of taking up server capacity because it's monitoring there is some processing capacity used up on the server for monitoring whatever it is that you're publishing, and also you've got a load of data that's unnecessary in the client as well. We've got callback registration as opposed to overwriting properties of templates. That's maybe a little bit more detailed than it needs to be, but it means that it's much easier to have a variety of different things happening when a template gets rendered without monkey patching. I can't help wondering, and I've not used this because it's really new, how you unregister stuff. There's got to be a way, but I dare say somebody will come up with it and it'll be very straightforward. Loads of other stuff as well. So the Facebook authentication is changed. Subscription handles have IDs and on-stop callback, so that just makes it a little bit easier to monitor what's going on with your subscriptions on the client side. We've also got client login hooks. That's something people have been asking for a long time. New way of setting multiple session variables at the same time. Some better error messages, particularly when the Mongo database is complaining to you, and loads of other stuff, bug fixes, performance enhancements, and so on. 1.05 only came out yesterday, so this is really new, and a lot of this stuff is, this is, I'd say, 1.04 and 1.05 together are the biggest release since Meteor hit 1.0, which is now 5 months ago. So this is some quite exciting stuff. There is also more on the way. So this is probably, hopefully, coming in version 1.1, but I don't really know. Official Windows support, I think, certainly is slated for 1.1. So Windows users, that's great news for you. And plus improvements to the package version solver. We've then got some other stuff which is available for release candidate testing. Spacebars helpers. Spacebars is the templating language that Meteor uses. And in particular, the stuff that anybody that's used any kind of moustache-style templating language before will be amazed isn't already in Spacebars, like @index. That's actually finally coming, and you can actually test the release candidate now, so that's quite exciting. And also, there's a branch of the Meteor repo which is going to have core support for Babel, which is like the ES6 transpiler, or is it ES 2015 now? Is it still ES? And whatever it is. Anyway, you know what I mean. So that's also quite exciting. I don't know how far away that is, though. So what else is going on? Well, Meteor hacks. Anybody who has been using Meteor for a little while will be aware of at least Aaron Oda, whose sin I'm not going to try to pronounce. But he and his colleagues in Sri Lanka throw out some really awesome kind of transformative packages on a regular basis, and they've been really, really busy recently, including today. So the stuff that's come out from them recently includes Flow Router, which is like a minimalistic router. The de facto router for Meteor for some time has been something called Iron Router, which is great and has really kind of informed the way that people design Meteor apps for a long time. But it's fairly heavy, it's got a big API, and it's reactive by default, which means that you can kind of, if you're using Iron Router, it's very, very easy to have a very kind of computationally expensive client app because stuff recalculates on a regular basis. Flow Router is like the opposite end of the scale. The API is quite minimal and it doesn't do anything reactively for you, which kind of seems like out of the Meteor way of doing things, but it allows you to build in the reactivity where you want it and where you need it, rather than doing it by default, because you can build a more efficient app that way. So that for kind of early Meteor users, that's probably the most interesting thing, and it's really easy to use. I would recommend giving it a go. There's also Flow components, which I'll kind of only just touch on because they basically decided to build React for Meteor, which seems quite ambitious, but I don't know, I've not used it yet. Give it a go, sounds very exciting. There's also clusters. So this is, scaling has been one of the things that people have been concerned about, I think it's fair to say, for some time with Meteor, that there's no kind of canonical way to scale a Meteor app. If you're firing up new instances, how do you load balance between them? Well, this is a way, an in-Meteor package, which apparently makes it extremely seamless and easy and efficient to load balance, and it also has support for various other things that these guys are building, like microservices. So it doesn't have to be a simple load balancer. It could be kind of slightly more subtle than that, where you have various instances which are designed to fulfill certain functions. So that's really exciting, and there are some kind of limited test data available, but I would love to see a really big production app using that, and hopefully releasing some information on exactly how it worked in practice. And then there was something on the Meteor Hacks namespace. There was a repo called Firewall, which, given how easy it is to ruin a Meteor app with a DDoS attack, I thought that could be quite useful. Anyway, today, well, like about 2 hours ago, there was a post on Meteor Hacks that apparently it's called Sicker, and that effectively seems to be what it does. Don't know anything else about it. Like, it's literally just been published, but again, that's solving, the Meteor Hacks guy solving something which I think was a community concern for Meteor, in a way which, given the other stuff they've produced, will be really, really easy to use. So loads of stuff from Meteor Hacks. Definitely follow those guys and just see what they're doing. Even if you're not using all of this stuff, I really think it's the kind of thing that informs the Meteor community on like best practice and the way they should be doing things. So really, really interesting stuff. The other packages which are worth mentioning from the past month or so are these two called Mongol and Jet Set, which Max Savin or Savin, apologies, I don't know how it's pronounced. Savin? We'll go for Savin. He's in New York, so I don't know. They are basically GUIs which allow you to view and edit documents in your MongoDB and also your session variables. So rather than having to go to the console all the time when you're in development to kind of change your test data or whatever, you can do it in a much more intuitive, graphical way. I've used these. They're probably not kind of 100% finished. There's like one or two minor glitches, and sometimes they don't play nicely with other packages, but they're really, really useful. I would well recommend installing these for when you're building new apps, because they do make your life a lot easier as soon as you're kind of trying to add or edit data to see what effect it has on your app. So that's really cool. More London-centric stuff. So Bernard is going to be talking about Meteor and Famous. He talked about Meteor and Famous at our last meetup. But the kind of canonical way, if you don't know what Famous is, it's basically a rendering engine which, as seems to be the way, kind of ignores the DOM where possible and really simplifies stuff and abstracts it away, and as a result delivers really kind of fast performance on, in browser. And the de facto way of connecting up Famous to Meteor is something called Meteor Famous Views, which a guy called Gadi Cohen put together. Anybody that reads the forums will be aware of that name because he contributes to all sorts of stuff. The good news is that he is going to be in London in July, and he's going to come and talk at our meetup about Meteor Famous, so that will be really, really exciting. That's not to cast a shadow on Bernard's talk, which is also going to be phenomenal, I can guarantee. But yeah, that's something that I think we're all going to look forward to, because these are two technologies which I think are like shaping the future of web applications. Also, great news from the Meteor London front that we are now well over 1,000 users, members rather, which is brilliant and says a lot about the Meteor community and how fast it's growing. It also means that a meetup of this size feels really small, and it's number one, just to let you know that we are aware. I'm kind of preaching to the converted because you're the people that have actually come to the meetup. But I know there's lots of people who couldn't get a space and were on the waiting list, which is huge. So we are aware that it would be nice for it to be much bigger. We have some kind of ideas in the pipeline, but if there's anybody here that has a good suggestion of a potential venue which kind of would allow us to significantly increase our capacity, then please come and talk to us. The key criteria being plenty of capacity and as nice as this one. Not that, thanks very much to Makers Academy, because this is brilliant, and all the other places we've been, but more capacity and just as nice, and good AV equipment. It's easy and free, and great kitchen. So yeah, obviously that'll be easy. But if you do have any ideas, please come and speak to us. And I think from the news, that's it. Thank you.